Welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom Wellness. I'm your host, Tiffany Flaten, and today I'm on my own discussing 3 ways to support your thyroid, and while doing so, how you can boost your immune system really quickly. So most people think of the connection between your immune system and your thyroid gland in the context of a condition called Hashimoto's thyroiditis. This is an autoimmune condition of the thyroid gland and accounts for about 90% of all cases of hypothyroidism. The problem is that it's often treated as if it's just the same as run-of-the-mill hypothyroidism, and that's just not true. So what we need to do is figure out ways that we can support this process so that your thyroid gland can function better, and therefore your immune system is going to be functioning much better. All right, so I have a history of thyroid cancer, and prior to that, undiagnosed thyroid symptoms for years and years and years. I was never tested for having Hashimoto's, and since then, since having my thyroid removed, I have had tests to look at antibodies to see if I have that disease process happening. And at this point, I don't have antibodies, and to my knowledge, never did. However, I did struggle for years and years with all kinds of infections and all kinds of conditions that would come up, primarily in the form of chronic allergies, year-round allergies. I never just had a season where people talk about their bad season being in the spring or the fall. I had year-round allergies. My body overreacted to absolutely everything. I also ended up constantly having some kind of bronchial infection, colds, sinus, upper respiratory infections, lower respiratory infections, and it was just something that was a part of my life, and it really took me out for months at a time. It was not pleasant. Since I have balanced out and supported my thyroid to function much better, in addition to having proper medication and dosing and someone monitoring that for me, I have decreased my becoming sick like crazy. It's made a drastic difference by doing these 3 easy things. This is something that you can do whether we're in some crazy times or not. So whether you have all kinds of things going on in your life, it doesn't matter. You can start doing these things right now to help support your thyroid gland, which, like I said, will for sure support your immune system. All right, so let's get started on that. The first thing I want to talk about is eating nutrient-dense food. That shouldn't surprise you too much, being I'm a nutritionist and I talk about nutrients specific to thyroid function regularly, and as well as many other conditions. But one thing holds true is that if you are eating a wide variety of produce, you are upping your antioxidant status. You're getting all kinds of vitamins and minerals and trace minerals that help to have the support of your thyroid as far as functioning goes. Sorry, I just stumbled over some of those words there a little bit, but I have so much going on in my head that I want to share with you, so I get ahead of myself a little bit. But what I'm trying to say here is that by upping your intake of fruits and vegetables, just that alone is one step you can make into helping yourself feel amazing and help your thyroid function and all your other organs function. You don't need to pay anybody any big bucks to know that you should eat more produce. You just should do it and eat a variety of them. So that's one thing you can start doing today that might be different than what you're doing. So you've heard it's important to eat your fruits and vegetables, but if you needed one more reason, this is the reason to do it, especially during these times. So we need to eat foods that are rich in copper and zinc and selenium. And you do this by eating, again, those broad variety of produce, primarily in the form of vegetables, nuts and seeds, good fatty fish, and other seafood. If you don't like those types of things, you might need a supplement to help along the way. You need to talk to someone who can help you with that so that you get the right kinds of supplements for your body. I think the other part about what the antioxidant status is so important is that, understanding that your body is designed to fight off infection and to keep you healthy. That's what its goal is and what it wants to do. And when you have these underlying conditions, you have all kinds of inflammation happening in your body. And if it's affecting your thyroid gland, your whole system is kind of shutting down because the thyroid hormone affects every cell in your body. So if we are boosting our nutrient-dense food intake, you are supporting that whole process. So that alone is step one. That's at the baseline. That is at the core of what you need to do with regard to supporting your thyroid. All right, so how are we going to do this? You're going to do this by eating more whole foods most of the time. Start switching from eating processed foods to eating primarily whole foods, which takes more time, sometimes can be more expensive, but not all the time. But that is the step in the right direction. So start incorporating that kind of thing into your diet, into your recipes, rather than going to the box, the quick fixes, the takeouts, the drive-thrus. Try to use that as a goal to just switch and improve on little by little, and you're going to do so much better for your body. So while you're eating those nutrient-dense whole foods, you will then be helping to balance out your blood sugar. So this is the second way to support your thyroid so you can boost your immune system quickly. All right, so your blood sugar balance is super important because when we have this constant blood sugar roller coaster, we end up with all kinds of symptoms like insomnia, irritability, fatigue. You feel that hangry feeling where people get really, really mad and hungry at the same time because their blood sugar is so imbalanced that they are reaching for food constantly. Usually the sugar, the chocolates, the treats, the snacks, the carby foods that give them just a little bit of push into the next time that their blood sugar drops and they need to have more food. So this is why sometimes people are eating, 6 to 8, 10 times a day. It's too much, and what it does is it causes your blood sugar to spike, then it causes your insulin to spike, and I won't get into all that right now. This is not in the context of this episode. But what happens is when you're eating constantly and on this blood sugar roller coaster all day long, you're having all these symptoms. It just stresses out the body. It makes your cells very unhealthy and weak. That does nothing to help support your immune system. And it also just encourages storage of fat rather than the burning of fat because your insulin levels become high and they start staying high too long and you can never really get into those fat stores. Again, something else that triggers your immune response to not be as good and not be as strong, and for you to become sick more easily because now you have some other issues that go along with your health and to make you less healthy. All right, so it just keeps that vicious cycle going. So make sure that eating those nutrient-dense foods, you're balancing your blood sugar. Every time you eat, make sure that you're eating some form of a healthy protein, primarily good quality animal proteins, a healthy fat. Don't be afraid of fats, making sure you get good quality fats like coconut oil, grass-fed butter, depending on dairy allergies and concerns like that. Good avocado oils or avocado. They also have lots of fiber in them. Making sure you're getting good carbohydrates. Primarily think of fiber. So what are the types of carbohydrates that also provide a ton of fiber? Again, it goes back to your produce. So by balancing your meals out in context of those three types of foods, the proteins, the carbohydrates, the fats, you're going to balance your blood sugar, you're going to level out your symptoms, and your body and thyroid are going to be healthier for it. So I have in the show notes will be my 7-day free eating plan. It helps us support the thyroid, and it's based on blood sugar balance. So by naturally following those recipes and meal guidelines, you will be doing that. You'll be balancing your blood sugar and causing less stress on the body. All right, so the third thing, this is stress management. So this all leads to how do you minimize stress on your system? How do you minimize stress on the body and the thyroid? It's well known that stress and the thyroid don't play well. If you are someone who struggles with a thyroid condition and you have gone through major stressful events, you might have correlated or put a tie to you needed an increase or decrease in your medication. Your symptoms went over the roof, just were ridiculous in that time of stress. Everything was exacerbated with regard to thyroid symptoms under that stressful time. And so what we need to do is to make sure we have practices in play to help decrease our stress day to day. And I know that stress is talked about as sort of so much it's talked about that it's not good for us, that it almost is watered down, and we don't understand actually how important it is to manage our stress levels and biochemically how that can affect us. That's what we're thinking when we're going through our days. How is the stress affecting my thyroid gland right now? That's not how we think about things, but you need to take a moment and understand that it is so important. It's imperative to your thyroid health and your immune health to deal with and manage your stress. And sometimes we're in our day-to-day stress so much that we don't even recognize it. It's just our normal, but just because it's normal to you does not mean it's normal and healthy, and it's not doing you any good. So what can you do to change that? So I just have a few recommendations because when we get depleted because we're so constantly stressed, we get sick. Think about that when you have had a really stressful event in your life and you kind of get through it, you power through, and then maybe a few days later you end up sick in bed with a horrible cold or sinus infection. I'm speaking from experience. That's why I'm thinking of these things. Or you get something that just beats you down, your body's just being down, so your stress overtakes and then infection can set in. So that's why it's so important. And again, stress and thyroid don't mix well. So we talked about eating healthy nutrients that is helpful for managing your stress, because a lot of the nutrients that I spoke about, and I didn't even get into all that deep in this podcast episode, but a lot of those nutrients are necessary to produce the brain chemicals. It helps produce brain chemicals that we need that start in our gut and cross over to the brain so that we can manage our stress response to things. And it helps with managing our mood and our depression and our anxiety. So there is real good information on that. And I'm going to do an episode on just that alone, because it is so important for people to understand the correlation between what they eat and their ability to handle life and handle stress and balance their mood. So what I would do for your behavior, your lifestyle management basically of stress, is start putting into play, and it's not easy, it's simple, it's not always easy to change your schedule, change your routine to incorporate these new things. But when you do, I guarantee you're going to start feeling so much better. What you need to do is start practicing some type of mindfulness or meditation type of practice. You can start out doing 1 or 2 minutes a day. Some people work up to an hour a day. I'm not there yet, but if I get 5 to 10 minutes, I'm feeling so much better, where you just are there. You're just being. You're not, on the hamster wheel, just thinking about the next thing you have to do. And it helps you to really, go within a little bit and deal with what it is that's bothering you. So starting to get that into practice and really deal with self-care, however that looks for you. Maybe it's a massage, maybe it's a walk, maybe it's a manicure, pedicure, I don't know, whatever it is for you, do that and take the time for yourself, because that will take you off the ledge a little bit to manage your stress so that your thyroid functions much better. One of the things that I work with people, and I recorded an episode with someone a few episodes back, it's episode 10, and it was someone who deals with EFT, or emotional freedom technique, it's also called tapping, for her patients to deal with emotional eating. Most of the emotional eating that people partake in is due to underlying stress of some kind. So look into that episode, take a look at the tapping, and you can download a free app called the Tapping Solution to help take you through that. There is a paid version as well, and I do recommend it because there's lots of programs, and that alone could cover some of that mindfulness, meditation, tapping, all in one about 10-minute shot throughout the day, and just make that a part of your routine. So that is super important for trying to maintain a practice and also, managing your stress, which all goes back to helping your thyroid function so that your immune system functions better. And the last thing, this is all part of number three about stress management. The third way is sleep. Again, I feel like sleep is talked about like, yeah, we know it's important, but do we really get the gravity of how important sleep is to managing our stress? Most people don't sleep well because of their stress, or vice versa. It's again kind of a vicious cycle. And if we don't get that in check, we're just going to be constantly trying to figure that out, and it's not helping our thyroid function at all. Again, if you're not sleeping, if you keep your body alert and awake and stressed out, you are going to set yourself up for being sick. So none of us want to deal with that. So for real, it's time to figure out your sleep. So if you would like to talk about this a little bit more in depth, I would love to talk with you about any of the issues that you have that we can work on to support your thyroid gland, whether it be getting deeper into these three ways, talking more about nutrients, looking at nutrient deficiencies. I encourage you to schedule your free 30-minute thyroid breakthrough session. The link will be in the show notes. And schedule that, and it's a no pressure place to talk to me. I can give you a little mini plan and guide you to something that I feel like would be very beneficial to you, and you can take it and run with it, or if you could work with me. Either way, I'm good with, and I just want to help you out. But I know from my own personal experience, it's also in the research that supporting your thyroid will help boost your immune system, and one sort of does the other. So it's really beneficial to get the information and to do what you need to do for your situation. All right. Thank you so much. I hope you are all well. And remember to eat well so that you can be well. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.